My, who would have thought it? Teddy Kennedy's seat in the Senate now up for grabs. The polls indicate a Republican might win the race. Their decision is going to have a tremendous implication for the rest of the country.
That's right. In fact, this election could determine whether or not President Obama's health care reform passes Congress or gets voted down. Here's reporter John Jessup.
Finger pointing over the unexpected closeness of the special election in Massachusetts started even before the polls opened, with Democrats turning on one another and their candidate, State Attorney General Martha Coakley. Polls showed Coakley's Republican challenger, Scott Brown, erased her 30-point lead going into Election Day, with Brown moving into a lead of up to 10 points in some surveys.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your votes. Thank you.
An ice-cold shot in the arm for the bluest state, where Democrats have a 3-to-1 advantage among registered voters and a contest over a seat held by the late Ted Kennedy for more than 40 years. The impact of this Senate seat goes much deeper than Massachusetts. The result could determine the fate of President Obama's health care overhaul. A Brown victory would give Republicans the votes they need to kill the bill, and Brown has made it clear during the campaign that is his goal.
Certainly the dynamic will change depending on what happens in Massachusetts. But
what does that mean?
Well, just a question of how we would proceed. But it doesn't mean we won't have a health care bill.
The stakes are so high that some critics have suggested stalling the winner's swearing in. But Massachusetts Secretary of State says he's not playing politics with the results.
I'm going to do everything I can to give the winner, whoever that winner is, the credentials they need as soon as possible.
Either way, top Democrats looking down the road to the midterm elections say there's a lesson to be learned here.
Whether we win or lose, Democrats have to regard this race as a shot across our bow that we failed to heed at our own peril.
A lesson they don't want to relearn come November. John Jessup, CBN News, the White House.
There's been a major disconnect, it seems, from the leadership, Obama, and the leadership of the Democratic Party. A major disconnect with what the voters want. And they're going to pay the price unless there's a miracle that takes place in Massachusetts.
Well, I think the positive thing that you'd like to see come out of this is to have Washington be willing to listen to the voice of the people when they speak.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah. Novel, I know, but nonetheless.
Well, they have their agenda. Well, Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories. Lee?
Pat, the death toll from the Haiti earthquake keeps growing, now estimated to be more than 200,000. And relief workers are still looking for survivors among the devastation. As George Thomas reports, some of those rescue efforts are paying off.
You could sense the anxiety, peppered with moments of frustration, radios that did not work, to the lack of basic rescue equipment.
That's the problem when you travel outside of your country. You have to work within the system, you work with the resources you have.
These are trained men that Julio Michel is relying on. Miami-Dade County and French rescuers use their hands to dig through the rubble of his home in search of loved ones trapped from last week's earthquake.
And when you sleep here at night, what are you hoping? What are you praying?
I have the hope and prayer that I'm going to see my family, my 2 children, my nieces, my mother. I have the hope that they're still alive.
On Sunday, rescuers got word that there was a baby still alive, so they began to dig, carefully removing the debris one piece at a time. Several hours later,
Here's the father.
Two-year-old Bendon Saida Michel was pulled from the rubble, much to the delight of neighbors and rescue workers.
What you're seeing is a miracle, an amazing miracle 5 days after one of the most powerful earthquakes to hit this part of the world. We have a miracle child who's come out from the rubble.
I feel like I'm alive. I feel like I'm alive.
Later, it was confirmed that his daughter, 2 nieces, sister, and mother were dead in the rubble.
I was preparing to spend the rest of my life on my own, but at least now I have a daughter to look after.
The little girl was quickly examined and found to be in good health. Her rescue was a rare moment of hope that capped a week of so much misery here. It is day 7 since the quake struck, and there is growing fears that the security condition could get worse as aid workers struggle to get food, water, and medicine to those in need. George Thomas, CBN News, Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Even before the earthquake, it was estimated there were more than 380,000 orphans in Haiti. That number has certainly increased with this disaster. One estimate now in the tens of thousands of orphans increased. Andrew Knox has this look at one orphanage, though, making a difference in the lives of these little ones.
With the tragic toll of human life lost in the Haitian earthquake, hundreds, if not thousands, of children are now orphans. The Love a Child Orphanage in eastern Haiti contains this very busy medical clinic sponsored by Joyce Meyer, which has also been supported by CBN's Operation Blessing. It has become the largest and most modern facility in the nation. Bobby and Sherry Burnett started serving in Haiti in 1971.
We had a refrigerator with no door for over a year. Didn't even have the money for a door. We had no yard. We had nothing.
We started working in Haiti, saw the needs of the children, realized that they were the ones who are so apt to poverty, disease, hunger. There's not enough food to go around.
Moses, one of the 65 children adopted by the Burnetts, was unloved and abandoned by his birth parents.
The way we found Moses is when she birthed him and left him in this outhouse to drop down into the hole and left, a man was going by and heard a baby crying. He went out and got a rope and had the people put the rope around him and lower him down inside the outhouse and all that filth. He has survived the outhouse in Haiti, and he has survived being thrown away by his mother. But this little guy, he thinks one day he's going to grow up to be the president of Haiti. And I really believe he is.
Despite the uncertainty of the future and the daunting challenges ahead, the Burnetts' faith remains strong. God will provide.
Through this crisis and everything we're facing, Sherry and I, we're trusting God. And at the end, we're going to come through the storm. You know, if God departed the Red Sea for Moses, we'll come through this and we'll come out on the other side and have a victory.
Thank God for folks like the Burnetts, Pat, and we're hearing and seeing just amazing stories come out of this tragedy.
Well, it always happens that way, a story of faith, a story of courage, but the tragedy is there. And Operation Blessing has just finished loading a ship with 200 tons of critically needed relief supplies, 7 truckloads of bottled water, 60 tons of baby food, 5,000 MREs, 2,750 gallons of diesel fuel, 350 family-sized water purifiers, and 50 high-production water purification plants capable of producing 10,000 gallons a day. So that's 100,000 gallons of water. We wish you'd get there sooner, but it'll be there in about 3 or 4 days, I think. And OB has been on the scene with various medical teams, and we'll be talking more about that as we continue today. But it's a great tragedy, and what we need is help. And so if you want to help, the number is on your screen, 1-800-759-0700. And Operation Blessing is part of the overall ministry of CBN as we reach out to the world, hurting people. This isn't the only tragedy we've been involved in. We were first on the scene in Banda Aceh for that terrible tsunami that took place in the Indonesian area. We've been there in Pakistan with an earthquake. We've been there in China with the earthquake. We've been certainly in Katrina. We were one of the major people who came early and stayed late. We're there to help people, and you can help by calling in and saying 1-800-759-0700. You can count on me.